Real YouTubers grow beards like Shady Penguin.
Very nice. I couldn't write as fast. What's up, everybody?
Okay.
I'm joined by Joey PokeaimMD. What's up, Joey?
Yo, what's up, guys? You got Pokeaim here. Thank you so much for having me, bro. It's been
Yeah,
a
thanks for
minute.
being on.
This channel's grown a little bit since I've been here. What's up?
Welcome back. Yeah, so Joey is I kind of feel like my equivalent in singles. Like he's well, he's a very, very, very established, very good singles player. If you guys are interested in singles
Thank
content,
you.
definitely recommend checking him out. And yeah, we figured we'd team up for something really fun today, in which we're gonna team up and we're gonna do half of this kind of collab on my channel, half of it on Joey's, and we're gonna be talking about on my channel Pokemon that are really good in singles and just absolute garbo in doubles, and the reverse on Joey's channel, Pokemon that
Yeah,
are really good in doubles but pretty bad in singles.
I'm actually really excited because the metagames are so different. Now, when he
Hmm.
says singles, I'm more of a 6v6 community single. So
Right.
think of what I play as like the Project M of, Smash
Hmm.
or whatever it was called. But obviously, I also play 3v3 singles as well. And Wolf is like a great doubles player to the point where he's just using gimmicks all the time, which I love, and does whatever he wants. Like, oh man, I can get this Shedinja level 1 to rank 1 in the world.
I like Shedinja.
That's a good mod.
That's a good
Uh,
one.
but yeah, do you want me to take the first Pokemon?
Yeah, so basically Joey has a lot of these Pokemon I know are just bad in doubles, but Joey can maybe tell us a bit about what they do in singles, and then maybe I can talk about why they're bad in doubles. And we're starting out with
Yeah.
one that's not awful. Yeah, but
Okay.
go ahead and take it away, Joey.
So, I mean, I'm assuming it's not awful because Dynamax is a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a lot of Pokemon that can get terrain. But Halucha is one of the most threatening sweepers
Mm-hmm.
in singles simply because of its unburden ability, and it basically either runs like a Power Herb, so it can Swords Dance Sky Attack, and then Close Combat Acrobatics,
Mm-hmm.
or it runs like Grassy Seed with Rillaboom, which is a fantastic Pokemon. I know in both of our metas,
Mm-hmm.
and basically with the Grassy Seed and Swords Dance, it can taunt phasers, so Pokemon that would go for Whirlwind and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just at +2, it's faster than all Scarfers because of its high speed tier, unless it's like Scarf Max Speed Dragapult. So
Right.
it's just a phenomenal sweeper. And honestly, dual coverage of fighting and flying is just so broken. And, our metagame doesn't have Dynamax.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't have these Pokemon living 4 times resisted attacks or 4 times weak attacks. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
just a combination of acrobatics and close combat can overpower so many Pokemon since fighting and flying is phenomenal coverage in
Mm-hmm.
itself. Like very few resisted. But what about in
In
doubles?
doubles, it doesn't see much play. Like I personally thought it was gonna finally be good because of, well, like because of Dynamax personally, because obviously fighting and flying are really good max moves. It doesn't need the flying so much, but against Tailwind it can help, and like to boost your partner it can be good. And it pairs well with Indeedee, but like the bulk and offense are pretty not great even with a seed. And of course with Dynamax, it's like it has it survives for a while, but it doesn't do a lot of damage without Swords Dance, and because we have Intimidate so common in the metagame, like it's really hard to get it boost that will stick, especially when you consider like Dynamax also works the other way in that like they can also raise their defense with Steel Spike or lower your attack with Dragon. So yeah, in general, it just doesn't feel like an efficient use of your Dynamax, and you're probably gonna feel like it underperforms. I tried Halucha a bunch at the beginning of the format because I really did think that it could be its time to shine, but yeah, it's also the fact that fighting max moves are so much weaker, and Halucha doesn't have
Yeah.
like it doesn't have great attack by any means. Like it's good after it Swords Dances, but if you don't have time to Swords Dance, like it definitely can suffer. So yeah, overall, like I would say mediocre at best as a mon in doubles.
Yeah, and like for us, I'd say like maybe like a top 20 type of mod. In
Yeah.
terms of like sweeping, I think it's just your go-to on offense, and it just
Hmm.
pairs so well. Like I think the thing is, since we have 6 Pokemon we can work with, it's a lot easier also to position
Hmm.
and wear down opposing Pokemon, whereas you only have 4 to work with, so you can still position yourself. I don't know how good that is with Dynamax anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's also. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's also the fact that Halucha has to take 2 attacks each turn. Like you can only and it can
Yeah,
only KO one. That's
yeah,
like a big deal
yeah.
about sweepers and singles versus doubles. Like in singles, like you bring it in at full HP, maybe you get your seed boost, you Swords Dance up, then you can just take one Pokemon out at a time if you chip them. But in doubles, it doesn't matter if you Swords Dance up. If you're at like 60%, like you spent a Swords Dance, like if they have 2 Pokemon that can hit you for super effective, like you're done. You probably don't even need super effective because
Yeah,
the
or
bulk
even
isn't very
neutral
good.
because I mean he has 63 special defense,
Yeah, it's
75
really
defense.
bad.
I mean that makes sense about Lucha, honestly. Like the fact
Hmm.
that it has to take 2 hits is just way too much for it.
Hmm.
But the next Pokemon, well, this is an S rank Pokemon in 6v6 singles. This is literally a top 2 Pokemon in the
Yeah,
metagame. Now, Clefable is
I like the shiny form.
it's it's borderline busted, and when you look at it, it doesn't have any good stats, right? Like nothing pops out of it, right?
It's like
Base
solid.
95 HP. I mean, but like it's not something like, oh man, there's no way this thing is gonna dominate the metagame. But it's a
Right.
combination of it's great typing, being pure fairy typing,
Mm-hmm.
and then having two good abilities in Magic Guard. No status, so status is a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
More so in singles than it is in doubles. I mean, obviously you guys have sleep status a lot, but
Yeah, but
like
you guys have
poison,
toxic on everything,
yeah,
right?
poison, freeze, paralysis, all that stuff is very, very common. So specifically poison, just being immune to toxic damage is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, sweeping is cool. So I'm assuming underwear might have some sort of niche in doubles,
Mm-hmm.
but at least on a specifically based like stall team where, oh man, maybe your Clefable is weak to Scizor, but I can throw on a Quagsire or a Corviknight or a Toxapex to help me deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Clefable is just it is the glue of OU, you could say. It makes OU so annoying because of its ability to wish and teleport. And the way
Yeah, you guys run
works,
teleport. That's
yeah,
crazy.
it's so good. It's so good, dude. So the concept of, you wear down a Pokemon and then you can knock them out, right? Let's say, at Team Preview, your opponent has a Dragapult and you have Colossal, whatever. If you get 25% off on that, you'll be able to knock them out with a weakness policy boosted whatever attack. Right?
Yeah, Vocalith, yeah.
That's a calc you might know off the top of your head. Clefable kind of makes that not happen because of Wish plus Teleport. So it not taking damage, it being able to Wish, and then Teleport being a -6 switch, it can get in any Pokemon safely because it goes at the end of the turn. So let's say you've worn down your opponent's Ferrothorn to the point of your Halucha sweeping with one close combat, no Swords Dance needed. They bring it back, and now Ferrothorn can Gyro Ball because it's at full. So it's like it gets rid of that concept. On top of that, it can Calm Mind and Sweep. Has fantastic coverage. Knockoff is very good and is a good stealth rocker and status user with Thunder Wave. So
I can't believe you were a knockoff. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, knockoff is so good. Just
Yeah, for sure.
Heavy duty boots. Heavy duty boots is one of the biggest. Leftovers, Rocky Helmet, heavy duty boots are more like the defensive or the more common items. You would say, besides like choice items. So just being able to get rid of that recovery, specifically heavy duty boots, since stealth rock and spikes and toxic spike are way more common in 66 than they are in doubles, if not used at all.
Yeah.
Right. I just didn't feel like you guys have enough Pokemon. If it's doubles OU versus VGC, I think it's a difference. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So Clef is just this mon is one of the best Pokemon in the metagame, and there was a point before the DLC came out that people wanted to ban this thing.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, it's funny because in doubles, like, you would only use this over Clefairy in, like, very specific situations. Like, for example, you already had an Eviolite user like Dusclops or Porygon 2. I think Baz Anderson had, like, a team, and I'm not sure if he originated it, but I know, like, some people were using Gravity. Basically, you run max speed Sash Clefable with Gravity, so your partner, like Milotic or Orbeetle or whatever, can Hypnosis. Because it's one of the only Gravity users that gets it in Generation 8. So there's that, but otherwise, like, there's pretty much no reason to use it over Clefairy or Togekiss for that matter. Like, it's kind of like Clefairy gives you Friend Guard, for anyone unaware. No pun intended, but yeah, Clefairy gives you Friend Guard, which is a phenomenal ability and is very bulky with Eviolite. And has like all the same support moves like Protect, Follow Me, Helping Hand, and then whatever fourth move you want, Sing after you. People might run Gleam or Moonblast if they want to. So yeah, it's a very, very kind of niche pick, and like normally if someone has Clefable, like it's unusual to say the least. Like it's not a Pokemon you expect to run into, and nor do I think it's very good. Like I think Clefairy is much, much better in doubles because of Follow Me support. That's its main role. So it's funny to see that it's so much better in singles.
That's so interesting. Like you rarely see a Violet Pokemon better than the evolution. Like some rare exceptions in singles. Actually, up until this gen, sorry if you heard something fall. I think the gate fell, but Chansey is typically better than Blissey up until this gen because of the inclusion of heavy duty boots, which made Teleport Blissey a lot better. Then you'll maybe see like obviously Porygon 2 and Porygon Z are so different as well. But it's just so cool to see that, and I think you bring up a really cool point that I wasn't even thinking about, but there's item clause in in the way you play. So yeah, why would I want to run my support item or whatever on Clefable or whatever item when I can run it on a harder hitter? Now, Pelipper, I know about it in doubles. Pelipper is like one trick pony in doubles, isn't it? It's like
just
Focus
Garbo.
Sash, Tailwind.
Yeah, Focus says Tailwind, and then
And gets a brain for its support mon.
The best thing about it is that games don't last very long because you're playing 3 versus 4 the whole time.
Yeah. So it's interesting because that's all about like Pelipper dying but supporting its team. It supports its team in singles, but it has a lot more longevity.
Yeah.
Because it has amazing moves. It has U-turn for momentum. We'll typically see it paired with a Damp Rock. That way it can get up the rain for well, I consider it 7 just because when it comes out.
Right. Yeah. It's different in
but
singles.
U-turn and you'll still pair it with similar mons. We don't use Gold Duck. I know you guys had to because that was allowed.
Yeah, that was only because it was like the only Swift Swim user at the time. Yeah.
Or like Barraskewda, Kingdra, so you'll probably see similar mons. So it'd be great with that. You typically see like a Scald, maybe a Hurricane for like
Yeah.
Rillaboom and stuff. U-turn and Roost.
Hmm.
Defog might be part of that because Defog can get rid of hazards. But if you're using Pelipper, don't use it for Defog
Yeah.
because you want to get in the rain and get it out.
Yeah.
But Pelipper can also be an extremely threatening Pokemon as well because of its great dual stab and the fact that it has Hurricane, which is 100% accurate, and it gets Weather Ball now too. And Weather Ball is incredibly powerful in the rain. And it's basically a wall breaker. You basically use Hurricane, Weather Ball, and then Surf, and then you just use U-turn, and you just click buttons. You 2-KO a lot of the Pokemon.
Hmm.
It was cool when Seismitoad had a lot of usage because of Dracovish in our metagame.
Hmm.
So Pelipper would just come in and do like 80% with Hurricane, and then Dracovish later just clicks whatever move it wants, and then eventually clicks Vicious Rend. So it's really cool. So either is about living, or it's about
Damage output.
yeah, damage output. Whereas in yours, it's like, hey, I'm gonna set up Tailwind and die.
Yeah, yeah. In ours, like, it doesn't have any longevity, and it also doesn't have any power. It just is there just for. It gives you Tailwind. That's like the only thing. But it's kind of funny because in doubles, Politoed is the much bulkier, much more consistent rain pick.
I don't like how you said that, Mon. It took me a second.
Politoed. Yeah, so it's kind of the reverse where you would never, if you wanted bulk, you would never run Pelipper because the stats are so bad. And Politoed actually has really nice stats. So yeah, like it's kind of a reversal of the rain mons there.
I wish Wingull got it.
Yeah,
Just too.
it would be better than Pelipper, honestly.
I'd be able to see. Shut up. Hey, it might actually be doing. I think it's faster.
Is it? No way. 65.
85. 85.
What?
I think a little cup. That mon's a threat down
Oh
there.
my god, that's so funny.
That's like the Torracat Incineroar treatment.
Yeah, seriously.
Speaking of Incineroar, isn't that part of the reason why Scissor's not good?
That's one of the. Yeah, I mean, Scissor really fell off. So I won Nationals with Scissor in 2012. Aaron Zhang and I together when it was Steel Gem Bullet Punch Scissor. It's fallen off a lot since then. The real thing is that Intimidate is big and Scissor, like, it has this really nice priority Bullet Punch plus Technician combo, which, does, like, pretty well. They took away Bug Bite as well, which is a big nerf to it.
For your guys' metagame, it's not
yeah,
legal, right?
exactly, yeah, because you can only use, it has to be bred in, or, like, obtained in Gen 8, so, yeah, so there's that, and yeah, honestly, it was mainly the prevalence of Intimidate. Like when Aaron and I won tournaments with Scissor, it was like that was right before Intimidate kind of picked up in popularity and people realized how good it was. It was still present, but not in the same way. So even though it's got like all these great stats and people occasionally will like try and use it, it just doesn't do the same. Like it always feels lackluster. It always feels like it's lacking a damage output. Steel Gem removal also really hurt it because at least then it had like you could Swords Dance, Steel Gem, Bullet Punch, and it would OHKO like Garchomp.
Yeah.
But like yeah, like since then it's really fallen off a lot. Like you wouldn't be shocked to see it, like especially on like a rain team, people might like try and use it, but it's I can't remember the last time I saw it actually like look threatening or look good, since 2012.
So Scizor is actually almost the complete opposite when it comes to standard. There were obviously metagames where it was like the top, and then last gen it was UU, but it was like a top threat in UU, which is the tier under the main tier. But right now, the common Scizor sets you'd see are Swords Dance and with Life Orb because it gets a new move, or Lumberry because it gets a new move and it's Sand Tomb. And with Sand Tomb and Technician, you could basically trap Toxapex with Sand Tomb and you 2-KO it, and then you can sweep at something that would otherwise want Toxapex gone. So like a Zumaro or like even like Kingdra Rain or anything like that. It's also kind of popular as an anti-Rillaboom.
Right, because you resist all the moves.
Exactly. And we can still use Knockoff. We can still use Bug Bite on it in our metagame. And then Choice Band can just U-turn around and knock off. It gets a little bit better now because Magnezone's allowed. So you can Magnet Pull and trap like Corviknight Skarmory and then let Scizor do its thing. But yeah, you'll typically see it on like offensive builds with Life Orb and Swords Dance Sand Tomb just to trap Pex. Because, I mean, I know Pex is on the list soon, but it's a threat in our metagame versus your metagame where it is.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you were surprised about Crawdon?
Yeah, Crawdon is a Pokemon that I have always thought is like super garbo. Like it's like the kind of the everyone always likes it and always wants to use it, and it's just awful. Like the bulk is horrendous. Even though Trick Room is better in doubles than singles, it's like the worst kind of glass cannon. Where like normally with your glass cannons, you want them to be fast, so they're attacking first. And Crawdon, like it's not easy to switch in because it's base 55 special defense and 63 HP. And even the defense is only 85, and like it's also an awkward speed stat at 55 where like it's not quite slow enough. Like the slower Pokemon like are still going to be underspeeding it, but it's not fast enough to really work even in Tailwind unless you're max speed, and then you really have no bulk. So it's just like a hard Pokemon to position, and then also Intimidate, right? Like any physical attacker is going to be struggling with Intimidate, especially one that's as frail as Crawdaunt. Where like, sure, you're still going to do good damage even after Intimidate, but you're not going to be one-shotting things. And it's also the Halucha treatment where like, even if you can Oko one thing, you have to take a second attack the turn, the same turn most likely, because it's 2 versus 2. So like it doesn't have the bulk to stick around.
Okay. So it's actually interesting because Cardon is pretty solid as a wall breaker
Mm-hmm.
in OU, and it runs on typically two types of teams. Rain offense, which will obviously benefit Cardon because if it's already adaptability boosted, Crab Hammer, Liquidation, Aqua Jet,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll run like either Choice Spin or Life Orb Swords Dance, or on Trick Room, which does the same thing. And Cardon's biggest thing is the adaptability plus Grit Dual Stab.
Mm-hmm.
It has Liquidation or Crab Hammer, then it has Knockoff, and at +2, you're dealing some massive damage. You're knocking out, all the walls in the tier. You're knocking out Toxapex at +2. You're knocking out
Oh wow.
Groudon. You're knocking out Corviknight type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're knocking out Mandibuzz. So it's typically seen as a wall breaker here, and it's a really, really tough mon to switch into, especially if you run like a balanced play style, which is not necessarily offensive, not necessarily fully defensive, but somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And Cardinal actually, its speed tier is very important because at base 55, that's still faster than like Adamant Marowak, Adamant Azumarill, type of thing, but also like just all the defensive Pokemon, right? Like Blissey, Amoonguss, which you knock it at +2 with Life Orb knockoff,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have that priority for Excadrill, which is very, very important because that's a really good mon,
Mm-hmm.
and also just if you get like Dragon Ball to about 50%, you can do that, and Aqua Jet's also really good for Pokemon like Volcarona as well. So
Right.
it's funny because like in yours it's bad, and even though Trick Room is better in yours, and I'm assuming like Pokemon like Torkoal and Rhyperior and stuff are better just Trick Room abusers, period.
Exactly.
But in ours, it has just a place as just this crazy wall breaker, and it's very scary to use because at the point where the metagame is right now, you have to use certain defensive Pokemon. So when you see a Crawdon, it's like, oh man, what do I sack here in order to do it?
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
I'm more excited about this next Pokemon though.
Yeah, this is one that's like people are. Whenever I put it low in my tier list, I always get hate about it. People are like, "You're so bad. Why are you putting it so low?" And it's like it's Garbo. It's actual Garbo. So we're talking about Toxapex next. I don't have anything to say about this except that I've lost to it twice in online in Wi-Fi tournaments. I think I lost to, or maybe I beat the second one, but I don't think so. I think I lost to it twice. But it has. Do you know about Amphad?
Amphad, what's that?
It's All My Friends Are Dead syndrome. It's Toxapex has it, Ferrothorn has it. It's the thing where the Pokemon is super tanky and bulky, but you can just ignore it and attack the partners, and then at the end it's a 1 versus 4, and you have Toxapex versus 4 Pokemon.
Do they not toxic and recover and beat you?
Yeah, but like the games don't go as long. Like a VGC game will go 12 turns, right? And if you're KOing a Pokemon every turn, by doubling into it every turn, it doesn't matter if your Pokemon are poisoned. Like Toxapex isn't going to win a 2 versus 1 most of the time. Not a 3 versus 1 or a 4 versus 1, and then with Fake Out and other support moves like Fake Tears and stuff like that, like it's a pretty easy Pokemon to beat at the end, you know?
Yeah. So Pex is actually considered S rank right next to Clefable, and there's actually talks of it being suspect tested, which is something where the community comes together and say, hey, this Pokemon's broken. Let's figure out if we should ban it. So they run like a ladder, and people vote and whatnot after they get the points. So it's funny because like Pex has the Alola syndrome, which is everything has really low HP. But Mons that are good, right? So it's base 50 HP, but 152 defense and 142 special defense, and couple that with Regenerator, which is a fantastic ability. Like you'll never see Merciless or Limber. Maybe you'll see Merciless if people try to have fun, but you'll usually always see a Regenerator because not only does this mon have reliable recovery and recover, but it's the type of Pokemon that has the bulk that it's like, oh, my opponent has a Terrakion out. They can click Close Combat or they can click Stone Edge, and they can be Choice Band and do damage. Let me just throw in my Toxapex here. If they go for Stone Edge, I'll take 54%, and then I'll switch out into my Resist and come back in at like 83%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if they go for Close Combat, I stand and do it. So that's what Pex likes to do. It goes for Haze. It can beat both special attackers and physical attackers. It Scalds, which is amazing because of the 30% chance to burn. It Toxic or Toxic Spikes, and then you'll even see knockoff on it too, just because it's the type of Pokemon that can just sit on Pokemon, so why not get rid of their item? And then like other options are Baneful Bunker is actually decent if your team is like weak to Hawlucha, or when Cinderace was allowed, because we banned Cinderace. It's funny because you guys
we're just doing it now.
When Cinderace was around, they ran like Zen Headbutt, you'd run like Baneful Bunker, you poison them, and then you'd be able to play around it with your team. But then it's just like the type of Pokemon that is extremely hard to take out, and it really elongates like every game, right? If it's Toxapex versus Toxapex, like it's to the point that some Toxapex like to run Block Spite, so they can stop other toxic effects and just like take all their PvP. Like this Mon, if I look through the OU list, Amoonguss, Azumarill, Blissey, Chansey, Clefable, Corviknight, Crawdaunt, Dragapult, even Excadrill, like all those Mons are Mons that can just beat like in the right scenario, or
Right.
at least severely like hamper. So it is one of the best, if not a top 2 Pokemon, like literally top 2 behind Clefable.
Yeah, that's crazy because it's literally bottom tier in VGC.
Yeah, it's just nasty. I mean, like I said, status is a bigger thing, and getting rid of items is a bigger thing, and we don't have to worry about Dynamax. And it's funny too because with the bans that just happened in both VGC and 3v3, Hex gets a lot better as well because it doesn't have to worry about Togekiss breaking it. It doesn't have to worry about Excadrill. It doesn't have to worry about that. So like while defensive Pokemon aren't the best at Dynamaxing since they don't have the strongest damage output.
Yeah.
Just being able to survive, having that longevity is just disgusting.
Yeah.
So
I feel that.
this Mon is a really cool Mon. Tell me a bit about Aegislash, bro.
So Aegislash is on this list. I wouldn't say like of the Pokemon on this list, this is probably like one of the best ones. Like on here. It fell off a lot. It was really good in Generation 6, Generation 7. 7 especially, it had Z moves, which was really phenomenal. There's a couple reasons why I think it's fallen off a bit. It was nerfed, and the nerfs actually are a big deal. 10 in every stat is like kind of a big deal for a Pokemon like Aegislash. Joey and I were talking before the call, but it's a really bad Dynamax Pokemon. Like really, really bad. And so, because basically the reason it's bad is because you need King Shield to change between your formies. And when you Dynamax, you don't have access to King Shield. You have access to Max Guard. And you also don't really want to be protecting it unless you have to in your Dynamax because you only have 3 turns. So there's that. And then, yeah, like it just doesn't... It feels like it doesn't hit as hard. Like Aegislash was using Z moves in the past to kind of do damage with Shadow Ball and Flash Cannon and Sacred Sword. Although it was normally Max Ghost because it's hard to switch into. But yeah, so overall, like the nerfs to its stats, the Dynamax nerf, I would say, and then also like the typing just isn't great right now. We have a lot of fire types. We have a lot of dark types in the metagame right now. It's kind of forced to go special as well, and Pokemon are typically like more specially bulky right now. So I don't know. It doesn't have a nice place in the metagame. I will say there was a team that did well with it. It used Aegislash with Focus Sash to kind of compensate for the like poor. Like for the not for the poor bulk, but for the like so they could just invest fully in power, and it ran Shadow Sneak to activate the Dragapult's weakness policy. So it did see some play this format, and it was successful in that team. So it's not like an awful Pokemon, but at least comparatively to singles and to the past, I think it's fallen a lot. So
that everybody has like ridiculously hard damage outputs, right? And then they gave every fairy and psychic type mystical fire as well. With like It's crazy because like a lot of people, even in singles, a lot of people talk about the defense and attack nerfs, and I think I'm sitting here thinking, well, close combat's still stronger than 150 base power Sacred Sword, or like 140 base power close combat is still stronger than 150 base power Sacred Sword, and then it got Steel Beam from the special side. So Aegislash actually fell off a little bit as well in OU too, and it actually fell down to UU, then it instantly got banned. But I think a lot of people just kind of sleep on this Pokemon. This Mon is so good at wall breaking as well. In previous generations, you'd see Swords Dance sets being more popular.
Yeah, I remember that.
And now it's choice sets are the best. Them giving it close combat gave it one of the most spammable physical moves it can go for. So like you see a choice band set with like Iron Head close combat, Shadow Claw, and Shadow Sneak.
Yeah.
Or you'd see Head Smash on there as to deal with like if Mandibuzz comes in, it dies, right? And that's like an all around like counter to it, or check rather to it. And then special sets will run Shadow Ball and Flash Cannon, and then your last moves could be literally whatever. You can run Steel Beam if you want to nuke, or you can run even close combat because it hits Tyranitar and Blissey, or you can run Shadow Sneak for because even with minus attack nature and everything, you're still doing about 50% to Dragapult just because of Aegislash.
Yeah, damn.
140. Yeah, so like it is a strong wall breaker, and because right now a lot of Pokemon, Clefable, Toxapex, etc., switch towards more physically defensive sets because of Urshifu being allowed in the metagame. And Urshifu obviously critting and stuff, so they all want to run physically defensive. It's a great wall breaker, and it's very I think at the moment it's underexplored. But you'll even see like some King Shield sub-toxic sets as its way of breaking through like Mandibuzz.
I won regionals with that set in 2018.
It's a good set.
Yeah, sub-toxic protect leftovers with Tapu Bulu, so you're healing a bunch.
Exactly, especially with King and King Shield lower. That's so nasty.
Yeah.
King Shield lowering your attack stat every single time. The Aegislash having some great natural resistances, like being immune.
Great defensive typing. So
yeah. Yeah, and you said like ghost types are kind of, or at least this one has kind of fallen off because of the fire.
They're strong offensively. They're not great defensively because Tyranitar and Incineroar and all that stuff. You know.
And it's actually the exact opposite in in OU, ghost types are at their highest they've ever been.
Huh.
For like the longest time, the top 10 Pokemon had Dragapult, had Aegislash, and it had there was like two more that I'm
Mimikyu?
like no Mimikyu, not Mimikyu, but like I think top 20 also had like a Alolan Marowak.
Mm.
I think there was also like there's one more I'm missing, but Gengar.
Mm.
Gengar was up there as well at a point. And then
Genjar.
even in lower tiers, you'll see like the top mons being Poltergeist, Gengar, or even lower, you'll see Cofagrigus like being like the best mon, and Dusclops being the best mon in PU type of thing. So, and the biggest thing is that we also don't have Pursuit anymore. And honestly, I blame you guys for us not having Pursuit.
I blame Gen 4 Acid Rain. Don't blame me.
Oh, come on. Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7 all had messed up with Pursuits, though, to be fair. It's a really big shame, but like in yours, obviously switching, like, I mean, you're not switching into a max.
Wait, hang on. Don't blame us. We never used Pursuit. Nobody ever ran Pursuit in VGC.
I know, but they cared about it because you guys play Wi-Fi battles more.
Wait, I didn't even know there was a bug with Pursuit.
There's been bugs with Pursuit like every gen, man.
I only knew about Acid Rain. Yeah, no, nobody ever like. I never ran into Pursuit.
I'm assuming like the thought process behind it was like, oh man, what if you pursued a Dynamax mon? Do you hit it with
before or after?
After it explodes? Like, oh man, what about like Stalwart being on the field?
Oh yeah.
Z, like how does that do it? So I'm assuming they couldn't program it, so they're like, well, this is gone.
Yeah.
And they actually heard it because Tyranitar fell from OU for the first time ever.
Wow.
Like, because it's lack of pursuit, whereas this is the metagame where it'd be the best because Dragapult is a top 10 mon, top 5 mon.
Dragapult.
So, Aegislash still incredibly strong, and it just basically there's no Z moves, but it just uses choice items.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's good. Is Bisharp bad?
No, Bisharp actually isn't bad. I think Bisharp's probably the best thing we have on this list. It's inconsistent, I would say. Like it's not always going to be reliable. It normally runs Focus Sash, Sucker Punch, Assurance, Iron Head, Protect. Can run Life Orb. It was paired with Cinderace a lot, where basically like pairing it with any strong physical attacker is good because obviously you want to intimidate the strong physical attacker to lower the attack stat, weaken it, but if you intimidate Bisharp, then it gets stronger. So it's normally paired with that in like a Focus Sash role. I believe Yuri won the Players' Cup Invitational with Cinderace Bisharp. So that was cool. But yeah, basically like it's kind of like a glass cannon, except the cannon part isn't that strong. So it's pretty frail. It has priority, which is nice. It hits somewhat hard, especially after a boost, but if you don't give it a boost, then it doesn't really do that much damage. It's not bad though. Like of everything on this list, it's probably the best.
So I call Bisharp the no nonsense mon every single time I use it because it's the type of mon that no matter what ridiculous things my opponents are trying to use, or no matter what crazy stuff I'm trying to use, Bisharp is the mon that I can run Swords Dance, Knockoff, Iron Head, and Sucker Punch, and it will always save me or will always get the job done.
Yeah.
Now, us obviously not having landers right now is pretty big considering, no Intimidate to prop the Defiant, but it's really good versus the Defoggers. And honestly, this mon just fell from OU to UU, but the only reason it fell is because Urshifu came out with the DLC, and then when Urshifu came out, Magearna also was released, which has a difference because Bisharp wants to run Adamant as well. And then it also, Magearna was released with that. Yeah, Magearna was released with that, yes. So like Bisharp wants to run Adamant, but then Magearna can run like enough to outspeed it, specs and whatnot. But basically, like it's the type of mon that +2, knockoff, Iron Head, Sucker Punch deals so much. There's no Lele right now, so there's not a lot of
no Psychic Terrain, yeah.
Exactly. And it's still very good. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just that it's kind of outclassed as a physical dark type by Urshifu at the moment.
And then hard loses, and like you can't Sucker Punch Urshifu.
Exactly. Like that's not something you want to do. And like if I want to use another physical dark type, Crawdon is a better breaker because of Aqua Jet priority, which it's like a guaranteed hit versus
Sucker Punch, which is inconsistent.
Being, exactly, or a resisted or a mind game type of thing. And then even like on the special sides, like as breakers, you have Hydreigon, which is a better wall breaker than Bisharp is. But like there's some things that are like really systematic when it comes to Bisharp. Like if they have fully physically defensive Corviknight, you make him switch into Stealth Rock twice. That way you can knock him out with +2 knockoff type of thing. So like there's a few things. But then it also makes you have to play your knockoffs separately. Like if you're playing Bisharp with like a knockoff Clefable, you don't want to knock off the item with Clefable.
Right, because then you won't do as much damage.
Exactly. So it's still good, and I think it will rise again in popularity. But at the moment, it just fell. But it's still like a super good no-nonsense mon. And like, there's no better feeling than switching in Bisharp on a Moonblast from Clefable. And
getting the special attack drop.
Exactly.
That's funny. Yeah. I feel like Bisharp is the one that's closest, like in singles and doubles right now. It's like pretty good in singles and like not bad in all in doubles.
I like it. I mean, I think Dark Steel is great typing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful typing.
So you're telling me Cloyster's good?
Yeah, dude.
This thing is actual Garbo. Like, actually,
Okay.
an absolute garbage Pokemon.
Okay, explain why. Explain why.
What I don't understand, like what's its base special defense is 10. It's got
Okay,
45 base special defense and 50 base HP. Like, it's not surviving anything. It's just like hit it with any special attack and then like be up a Pokemon. It's easy.
but look at his defense stat, bro. That's 180.
Bro, I'm not hitting it with a physical move. Why would I hit it with a physical move? I have
That's
special
half of
attackers.
360.
I bet it
Okay,
still
look,
does. Did choice band or
Obviously, you
Rillaboom?
guys have 4 Pokemon, okay?
Yeah.
But we have 6 Pokemon, and some of those Pokemon are pretty defensive, or they're just offensive threats on the physical side. I'll name
Yeah.
a few that I could set up on. Hippowdon, Excadrill, potentially Marowak. That's a little bit iffy. But like defensively too, like the way the set this thing runs is Shell Smash, and then it runs King's Rock.
Right,
And,
for Flinchy.
Exactly, and that's basically like you set up on Corviknight, you set up on Excadrill, you set up on Hippowdon, or you don't even have to set up. You're faster than Corviknight and Hippowdon. You just click Ice Ghost Spear. You're gonna hit 5 times because of your skill link, and you have a 43% chance, or something like that. I think 42, 43,
I
whatever.
thought it was higher, but yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it's much higher.
Okay.
But I'll do the math later. But you have that percentage to flinch them, and then if you run Shell Smash as well, you can run Ice Shard, which will let you knock out Scarf Dragapult, which will let you knock out Scarf Hydreigon at +2 if they run Adamant. Like I've used it in tournaments a few times too, especially when Dugtrio was around or like Cinderace didn't run High Jump Kick. Like so, you'll see pretty much it's Shell Smash, Ice Spear, Ice Shard, and then your last move is some toss up between Explosion, Rock Blast. Rock Blast would be like for like Rotom Heat or whatever, but obviously a neutral and toxic effect, or even Rapid Spin. Like I've seen, like even anti-lead Focus Sash, Shell Smash, Rapid Spin, Ice Ghost Spear, Ice Shard, or even Spikes, like that type of thing. Like I've seen some teleport, but the idea is it's a cheese Pokemon that you'll see on offense that can basically cheese fat teams.
Yeah.
Because it's faster, it has natural bulk, which like it takes like 2 body presses from Corviknight, non-Shell Smash, and like physically defensive. So like it's annoying. And I hate fighting this Pokemon, and I've lost Magirnas to it from full. I've lost to it from full. I've lost Azumarill to it from full. And I've lost Ferrothorns to it from full.
That's crazy.
It is just that type of Pokemon that can do it. So it's a lot of people consider it a cheese mon, but it is scary.
Yeah. No, it seems scary. I get that. It's not scary at all in doubles.
It's just solid. So Skarm.
Yeah. Last but not least, we got Skarmory.
Yeah. So I mean, this is starting to see usage again in OU as well. But basically, the standard set you see is its ability Sturdy, or you might even see Rig Armor randomly, but Sturdy obviously letting you survive, one hit whenever it happens. The lack of Megas, the lack of Heat Ran, like there are a lot of fire types in OU. You got Volcarona, you got Rotom Heat, you have Marowak, and then obviously Magnezone's there too. But its main role is to set up hazards, so spikes, and then you see like Body Press, because Body Press means, and with Rocky Helmet, that means Excadrill cannot spin on you, and also just being Steel and Flying, Hippowdon can't Toxic you, and it can't Earthquake you either. So you see Spikes, Body Press, Roost, and then like Toxic.
Okay.
And this is a set that's being ran now more than like Defog or anything, because Rillaboom is stupid good.
Yeah.
Like it is stupid. Like my Dragapult dies to +2 life or Grassy Glide. Like what the hell, man? Resist. Cinderace is a roll as well. Like it kills resist.
Yeah.
So this type of like it'll be physically defensive. It'll Toxic, it'll Body Press, and it'll beat the 1v1. You might see Brave Bird occasionally on some, but I love this one the most because it actually also damages Magnezone on switching for a 2-hit KO.
Right.
Like Spec Zone can't come in freely, and you can live because it's sturdy, so you can 2-hit KO them. Or if they bolt switch, you just switch out and roost later. But I've also seen some like instead of Toxic, I've seen Iron Defense, which makes it more.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah,
it makes it more sleepy, and like that can be even Calm Mind Clefable or just regular Clefable.
Right.
Because even at +6, you're doing 58% to physically defensive, so you're 2-hit KOing them, and it just turns into a crazy sweeper. Like before, the most it could do to Ferrothorn was defog on it and then get knocked off and Leaf Seed, but now it has offensive presence.
That makes sense.
In doubles, it just doesn't do anything.
It has no special defense. So in singles, you can come in on a physical attacker, set up, do your thing, switch out, whatever. In doubles, you're very likely to have a special attacker on the field, so you can't exactly it definitely has all my friends are dead syndrome. Like you can ignore it, you can throw any special move at it, and it will just like disappear. Yeah, it's not. I've very rarely seen this in VGC. It's not good at all.
It's funny because at some points in metagames, it's actually run special defensive. But Taunt, Roost, Whirlwind.
But even if you invest, it's still not super bulky. Like I guess P70 isn't as bad as I thought.
It's his base 65 HP that honestly holds it back.
Yeah.
Like that's why Corviknight's amazing. Like just good stats all around. It's outright cool.
Yeah, like you would never run this over Corviknight or Celesteela if Celesteela was legal.
So you wouldn't. I mean, they're all different Pokemon, which I love about them. But You wouldn't run like Swords Dance, you know, Brave Bird,
Why would
and
I use this over
Max
Corviknight?
Airstream.
Like, it has nothing that Corviknight doesn't have.
Swords Dance,
Corviknight is bulk up. That's like an Iron Defense. Iron Defense is Swords Dance on Corviknight because you're running Body Press anyway.
but not if you max.
Yeah, but then if you max, you get Steel Spike boost, so you get damage and boost for Body Press.
I'm running Swords Dance Scar with weak armor.
I mean, you could do it, but yeah, I mean, you'll enjoy. You don't have sturdy. You'll just get one shot.
Yes, I will.
I mean, maybe somebody could make it work, but it's pretty bad. I wouldn't recommend it.
I've used back in Gen 3 OU, where Magneton was very common
Mhm.
in an attempt to trap Skarmory. I used Max Attack. I think it was what's the item that boosts ground type attacks? It's not
Rock.
It's not Earthplate. It's I was gonna call it Mud Slap. It's
Rock.
not Mud Slap. It's something.
Mud Shot?
Whatever. It's no. It's whatever. I forgot what the name. Why can't I remember the item that boosts ground type attacks? Whatever. But it basically does the same thing as like Earthplate, which but that didn't exist back then. And I use Hidden Power Ground. And I would Oko Magneton.
That's so funny.
It's so bad. Like don't use that.
I'm
Don't,
using
like,
that.
If you ever play ADVO, you don't use that. But it is just very very fun. And I mean overall, it's interesting to see like how widely different. Like PEX doesn't even exist in your metagame. In mine, PEX exists, and it makes the metagame worse by some people's opinions. It's just so interesting.
It's Soft Sand. That's the item.
Thank you.
I looked
Soft
it up.
sand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know why Sharp Beat kept him in mind. Like, that's great.
I said Rock, which I thought was pretty good, but
Rock. I was like, shut up.
you didn't even acknowledge it.
I did in my head. I was like, I shook my head. Like I actually shook my head.
I was shaking my head. Yeah, well, that's all the Pokemon, everyone. So let us know if you enjoyed this because it's definitely interesting to see these Pokemon that are so good in one metagame and just so not good in the other one. And yeah, make sure you go check out Joey's channel as well. I'll link it in the comments down below because we'll have a two-parter of this where I talk about the doubles Pokemon that are good in doubles and apparently bad in singles.
It might not be the same day. It might be like the day after.
Sure, yeah.
But
keep an eye on the channel.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye. And Wolf and I will get Master Ball tier one day.
One day, brother. One day. Oh.
But thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Cool.
Everybody, leave a like. Leave a like for Wolf. Please.
Heck yeah.
If you hate me, leave a like as well. If you not enjoy me, leave a like. That's the best way to show that you hated what we did together. By leaving a like. Today's opposite day. Also, if you liked it, leave a like as well because it's not opposite day for you.
Yeah, we're selective.
Yeah, it's selective opposite.
But we'll know which of you liked it, which of you hated it. But you all have to hit the like button regardless.
Exactly. Don't worry. Like that's
the
best thing about YouTube. Like if you know how you ever have like you're thinking about, oh man, I want to buy some food, and then you'll get like an Instagram ad that says, hey, look, this is the food you want to order. That's basically what we do for YouTube. So we know if you like it and you hate it. So don't worry. So, right?
We appreciate it. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks, Joey, for being on. See y'all next time. Goodbye.